Hello and welcome to the January Sunday Scoop. I've got three main things to talk to you about today. First, the long overdue launch of our governance portal. Second, I'm going to give Dan an opportunity to talk about the research survey he sent out last month and summarize some of the responses that we received. And then third, I want to show you some of the technology that went into building out our V2 UI, which is coming very soon. Let's dive right into it.
Knockout. You win.
First, let's talk about governance. For quite a while now, we've been hard at work developing a set of technologies that allow cheap but trustless votes on the Cardano blockchain. This technology has already powered several high-profile votes in the Cardano ecosystem, including one from the Noom project, one from Disco Solaris, one from NMaker, and even several votes at the Cardano Summit itself last November. So now that this technology is battle-hardened and we've worked through several of the legal issues around our kind of constitution, so to speak, we're happy to launch this governance portal. So on January 31st, we posted a proposed constitution for voting procedures and how you can participate in that governance. I'll let you read the full details yourself, but at a high level, this includes creating a temperature check just so that there can be some high quality discussion around that proposal, gauging the community interest or disinterest in this. And if it reaches sufficient interest, not necessarily in pass-fail, but sufficient interest that it's worth calling a vote on our governance portal, then you can go into our governance portal at governance.sundaeswap.finance and create that proposal. So by the time you're reading this, hopefully the first proposal is live to ratify those rules and procedures, and it describes how that works. And you can expect to see several other proposals from us in the coming months. It's been a long road to get here, and we're really excited to bring this power and this voice to the Sundae Swap community, and we'll continue to push the envelope on what governance means on the Cardano blockchain. Next, I'm going to hand it over to Dan to talk about our user outreach and research project.
Hi, I'm Dan Gonzalez, Head of Product at Sundae Swap. As you probably recall, last month in our Sunday Scoop, we launched our first user research survey, and this is the first one of 2023. We're going to be doing one of these each quarter as part of our new customer discovery process. And what that means is we're reaching out to all of you to learn about really just how you use not just our product, but our competitor products too. So we talked to just over 80 of you in our survey, which is great. It's typically pretty hard to get people to respond to surveys, and especially with the level of detail that you all provided us. So we're hugely appreciative of this. In terms of what we learned, we went back, we compiled all the data, we read every response that you guys gave us, and we surfaced some interesting trends. So the first thing we asked about was really just how often you interact with digital trading platforms. And what we found is the majority of you, over 80%, interact on a daily or weekly basis. And this is hugely valuable, right? It's a simple statistic, but it tells us that our users are actively using our product, right? More than once a week in most cases, on a daily basis, or every couple days. So this really helps us know which information to prioritize to make things easier for you so that you can use our product more efficiently. Second thing we asked was, what are the most important features that help you decide which platform to use? And, no surprise here, UI, ease of use are two pretty big ones that can kind of be grouped together. They really kind of speak to the same thing, right? Is the product easy to use? Is it friendly? Cost was kind of a surprising thing to us, right? So cost and fees are kind of lumped into the same category. So that's really valuable information for us. It kind of helps us understand your thought process and how you interact with these type of platforms. Trading features is kind of a catch-all category. So that includes things like different order types, yield farming, all of that kind of stuff. So we got a bunch of really great information in that category that we're going to be taking a deeper look at. Down at the bottom, you see these categories of security, safety, reliability. They can kind of all be grouped into the same thing, right? Does this product feel safe to me, right? Is my capital going to be secure when I use it? So that's obviously not a big surprise. And then speed and things like that. TVL is obviously a big one too. Specific to DEX platforms, your biggest concerns are red flags, right? So this is kind of the opposite of the last question, right? Instead of what do I look for, it's what do I not look for? What do I not want to see in a platform that I interact with? No surprise here, lack of communication, right? I want to see the team out in the open. I want to see them communicating, interacting with the community. That's kind of a big thing. Another one here was like overhyped tokens or scam tokens. This idea of, seeing like really inflated yield farming, all of that kind of speaks to, rug pulls and wanting to avoid those, which is obviously not surprising. Poor design, right? Has the team actually paid attention to how a human being would interact with this platform? That's a big one. And then obviously security flaws, right? Have there been hacks? Is my capital going to be safe, right? So no huge surprises here, but it's good to see it kind of laid out in a numerical format. And the last big question we asked is, when thinking about exchanges across the entire space, who would you say is doing it well right now? And, we ask this because we're pretty introspective. We can take criticism really well. And, we appreciate it as much as we do praise, because this, you want to know where you stand and you want to know where you're falling short and where you're doing well. So given that we live in the Cardano ecosystem, this is a little bit skewed toward that. So kind of keep that in mind. So there's obviously big representation from MinSwap, from us, from UsuallySwap, from Wing Riders. And then no surprise, right? The big players from Coinbase to Uniswap, PancakeSwap, Binance, etc. And then a few others kind of round out the pie chart here. So again, no big surprises here, but it's good to kind of see where you stand relative to other competing DEXs in the Cardano ecosystem, but also in the larger ecosystem as well. So the last thing we asked was, really, are you willing to talk a little bit more with us? And that's really what we wanted to get at with this survey. Is we wanted to find out, is our community willing to engage with us on a one-to-one basis? Because honestly, we want to have really good conversations with all of you. We want to hear about your experiences, good and bad, not just with our product, but with other products as well, so that we can build the best DEX for all of you, right? That's what we're here for, is we're here to build a product that you want to use every day or use a couple times a week, to generate capital and do whatever you need to do. So on that note, we're going to be reaching out to you. If you left your Twitter or your email, you'll hear from us from our official Twitter or from a sundaeswap.finance official email address. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have some instructions about how to get your interview set up. We'll have a Calendly so you can get that set up. And we look forward to talking to you. And I can't wait to chat with all of you and hear about your thoughts and have some really good conversations. So thank you so much for participating. If you participated, I hope you found some part of this valuable, even if you maybe didn't participate. And thanks again. And we will talk to you guys next month.
Finally, I wanted to show you a really cool demo of some of the technology that underpins many of the new features on the V2 UI that we're hard at work on. One of the most commonly requested features is users want to understand what fees have they earned by being a liquidity provider. By depositing liquidity into the protocol, you get LP tokens, and those represent a percentage share of the assets in that pool. And every trade that happens on that pool increases the product of those assets over time. While your percentage stays the same, the product of the assets that you own also increases over time. And so that's a way that you earn fees through providing liquidity on the DEX. Now, in principle, calculating this should be very easy. But in general, and to do so accurately and with all the corner cases involved, can be very challenging. So for example, start to imagine what happens when LP tokens move from wallet to wallet, or they're split into multiple transaction outputs, or they're merged with different LP tokens minted at different times that have all earned different amounts of fees. It can be very hard to just calculate that off the fly, especially in a performant way that you can surface to all of your users. So we went out and we built that technology. I'm really proud of what the SundaeSwap team has accomplished in engineering that and making it fast. And so I thought it would be really cool to show that off through showing off what fees the DAO has earned. So the initial ADA Sundae pool was created with Sundae from the community supply. And so those LP tokens are owned by the community. I'm going to go ahead and transition my screen and show you a graph of those LP fees over time. So here we can see a graph over time of the fees that have been earned by those LP tokens. You can see a large number of fees that the community DAO has earned at our launch, then kind of a period of consolidation as some new players launched on the space and the volume on the DEX decreased a little bit and the bear market set in. We were also emitting Sundae tokens through yield farming during this time. Since we stopped that, this has been gradually going back up over time. And it's actually interesting, when we first saw this, we thought there was a bug. We thought that, we didn't understand how the fees could be going down over time. And as we dug into the data, it gave us a deeper, richer understanding of what it means to be a liquidity provider. And in fact, what you're seeing here is a manifestation of impermanent loss. So not only is the base assets in the pool subject to a small amount of impermanent loss, so are the fees that you've earned over time. You can think of impermanent loss like dollar cost averaging into a decreasing asset. If you buy a small amount of an asset that is declining in price every week, you're going to end up with less than if you had just waited until the bottom and bought that asset. Now, it's also more reliable because to dollar cost average, because one, it's hard to save up that much capital, and two, nobody knows when the bottom is, right? And so it's a good way to kind of hedge your risk. Same with being a liquidity provider. You may be subject to impermanent loss temporarily, but if you believe that the market's going to recover, those come back in force, and that's why it's called impermanent loss. And so just like your base assets experience impermanent loss while providing liquidity, so too do the fees that are earned. So this was a really kind of surprising and novel insight that we got just from having access to this data. And our hope is to provide this data in the V2 UI for our users. So at the very least, kind of on launch, we plan to have the current fees. So the historical fees is still a bit too slow to load on every page load. But to show the current fees, that our plan is to wire that in, as well as when you withdraw, showing, okay, how many fees have the LP tokens that I'm about to withdraw, how much has that earned? And so this should be a really useful tool for understanding how your portfolio is performing and helping you make informed decisions. So I thought this was a really cool demo to kind of drive that home. And that's it for this month. As always, thanks to everyone who watched. And as a small bonus for anybody who watched to the end, just to give you a sense of how close the V2 UI is, we expect this week to be sending out the V2 UI to a kind of closed friends and family beta to start getting their feedback and preparing it for a testnet launch. So no hard dates on that for a public release, but it's getting very close and we're very excited. Bye.